Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves to break the fourth wall. It's Frank. How are you today?
Until you're 90.
Are we going to do this until we're 90?
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. 500
Hey, made it this far.
1 episodes in, then this is it. Maybe we're in. Like, we could do
in
it.
for 501 pennies, in for 501 pounds. That's what I always say.
Oh, that is, I have heard you say that many times.
Yeah, many times.
If you go back and listen to the 500 episodes previous to this, you'll hear Frank say that at least 0 times.
At least.
At the very least, 0
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
No -1s or -2s or -3s. You've said it at least 0 times. I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure of it. Frank, what are you drinking today on Beer with Geeks?
Tim, when the summer comes, it's hot, it's sticky, it's gross. You want something light and, something that quenches your thirst and is refreshing. So naturally, I reached for a porter.
I could tell that it was dark, like looking into the can, but I couldn't tell what kind of beer it was. So as soon as you said, when it's summer, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Okay. This one just happened to me though. Okay. Like this is why I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I had a family party at my house and people left beers and somebody left a 4-pack of porters at my house. So here I am.
Good on you, man. Good on you. A
fridge full of porters. This is a Hartwell Old World Porter by Dirt Church Brewing Company, which I have never heard of. Dirt Church Brewing Company is out of East Haven, Vermont. I think I mentioned a few episodes back that some relatives of ours live in Vermont, and Vermont is home to. I live in New Hampshire, so Vermont's not that far, and Vermont is home to some of the best breweries in the country. I dare say some of the best breweries in the world. So it's always a treat to drink some small batch craft beers from Vermont. And actually, this is a very good porter. And it's actually, as far as porters go, like relative to other porters, it's on the lighter side of porters.
What would you equate a lighter porter to? Like a brown ale? Like a a red ale?
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like a brown ale. Yeah, I think that's, a very, like on the darker side, the heavier side of the brown ale scale. Ale scale is fun to say. I think this kind of the low end of the porter scale touches the top end of the brown ale scale.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying. I couldn't be drinking something more different from you if I tried, and I tried. No.
What you got?
I am drinking. This is something that I wouldn't put into the annals of like important beers that I've had over the years, and arguably as the first beer of the second side of 500, not a great choice. But I didn't get a chance to go to the store, so this is what I've got going for me. I am drinking a Heineken Silver, which is which is their 95 calorie, 2.9 carb beer. It's like a silver bullet, it turns you into a werewolf. A beer.
It's not non-alcoholic, though, right?
A were beer.
A were beer.
A were beer. Yeah. It is not non-alcoholic. I don't know what the ABV is because I can't read. It is 4.0. It's 4%. Well, not really anything. It's just kind of like, it's a beer that exists. It's actually pretty good, but as far as like the light beers go, we are like, oh, am I actually having a beer? Like this, it actually does taste like beer, which is good.
Oh,
and
nice.
It actually
Okay.
does have a more of a heavier quality to it. So I actually kind of like it, but my wife needed to make like a mosquito trap or something like that, and you can use stale, like older beer outside for that. And so she was like, "Can I use your crappy beer to do that?" I was like, "Hey, it's not
Easy.
that bad. Like it's pretty good." Yeah, it's okay. But it is like literally the last beer in my fridge, so like that's all I had going for me.
Time to go shopping. Yeah.
Time to go shopping.
Did she end up using one of them for a fly trap?
Yes, she did.
She did. Okay.
Yeah.
Did
I don't know how well it worked. I did not follow up, but I will follow up.
Okay.
Maybe
I'm
not
curious.
on this podcast, but I will, because by the time the next episode comes out, I will not remember. But I'll let you know on the DL. If anybody,
you will wish that you had remembered. You will aspire to follow up, but it's not going to happen.
Correct. I aspire to many things, Frank. Most of them don't end up happening.
No.
So, Frank, you and I both saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool v. Wolverine, Dawn of Justice. Over the weekend. Non-spoiler, what did you think?
I loved it. I had a blast. I had a great time. It was super fun. I loved it.
Yep.
Most fun I've had at theater for quite a while.
Excellent. I love to hear that. I, too, also loved it. And basically for the same reason. I had a lot of fun. I didn't, nothing in it bothered me or contradicted anything that I was expecting, which is part of the beauty, I think, of Deadpool, where you're just like, you do whatever you want. You're Deadpool.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
And I think, and then from here, I would actually talk about spoilers, because the movie starts right away with like, like the desecration, spoilers from here on out, like the desecration of Logan's skeleton from the Fox universe of X-Men movies. And people were like, oh, it's going to ruin that moment and it's going to do this. And they were just like, yep.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was having that thought in the moment of like, oh, wow, I'm surprised we're like like that kind of does, take away from the meaningfulness of the end of Logan, but okay, if we're gonna, but then like the way they went with it, it didn't really bother me anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it actually takes away from the moment at all, because it doesn't resurrect him or anything. In fact, making him an anchor to that universe, like that anchor person, like actually strengthens the moment more than anything. Deadpool desecrating his skeleton doesn't ruin that moment. It just means he desecrates Logan's skeleton, which I feel like in the end, Logan would be okay with. He'd be like, whatever, man. Whatever. Buddy.
Yeah, it was like a first impression, like in the moment, like, oh no, are we gonna? Oh no, but yeah, with once a little more context came, it was like, oh okay, this is great. I'm in.
Yeah, didn't even. I think like when he said like, oh, fans thought we were going to ruin this moment, and guess what? We are. And I was like, I'm in.
Yeah,
because at this moment, you're just going to do whatever you want, and it doesn't really matter. And what I truthfully I loved about the movie more than anything is that it was a really big send-off love letter to Fox superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, in some way.
More of them than I expected. Let me put it that way.
Totally more than expected. Yeah. And because I've been doing this thing, and I know you do the same thing, where you're like, I'm not listening to the rumors. I'm not following the stuff. I just want to go in and see the movie. And some stuff, of course, creeps your way. Like I had heard that Jennifer Garner was reprising her role as Elektra to be in the movie. And when she walked on screen, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. But that was it. Like, it didn't ruin the moment because I didn't remember, so it didn't matter.
Sure.
Yeah.
I went in not knowing, I didn't know any of the cameos at all. So all of them came as a surprise to me. And some of them really, I was not expecting to see Wesley Snipes.
Me either. I think that one was actually that and Channing Tatum. Those were my biggest surprises.
Those were the two. Those were very surprising. Yeah.
Wesley Snipes, because I was like, wow, I haven't seen you since you were in prison. Like, good for you. That was like for me. I actually just saw a little interview with him. Vactor, I think it was Vactor sent it to us. Vactorverse, friend of the show. Where they say like, how did you end up in this movie? And he says, I got a text from Ryan Reynolds, and said like, oh, like let's talk. They've known each other for 20-something years.
Oh, wow.
And he says, I've got this idea. Are you in? And he's like, they'll never go for that. Mahershala Ali is Blade now, whatever. And they're like, no. Let's do it. And he said, okay, let's do it. And that was it. That's like,
amazing.
Just like clean sailing. I've got this idea. Are you in? Yeah. Which,
amazing.
One, the clout that Ryan Reynolds has should be
really?
like, this is what we're going to do. And everyone's like, okay, good. Let's do it. I really dug that. I was really, they let him go. I mean, I would like to see the list of things that he pitched and got rejected on, because like the things that he got in there, there's some amazing stuff that he got in there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it could have been him, it could have been Sean Levy, the director, it could have been any, but like there's the like 60s Jack Kirby Fantastic Car in there. Yep. Chris Evans back as Johnny Storm, I thought was a delight.
Okay. We need to come back to that. Like if you have more things to say,
no.
Like,
let's start. Yeah, let's stop there.
My God, I let out the most. I embarrassed myself with my reaction to that, because like obviously I think he's there to be Captain America.
Right.
Like,
it wants you. Right. He's got the blue. He's got red wrapped around his arms. Like it's
100%.
him. Right.
That's what they want you to think. And the second he says "flame on," I like audibly gasped out loud, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" And completely embarrassed myself.
That's amazing. I lost it when he took the hood off, because I figured it was him, and when he took the hood off and his hair was brown, I was like, he's Johnny Storm. That's amazing. Like that's so
and I
good.
should have known it then. And I was sort of like, oh, wait, his hair, well, I guess whatever. I guess he dyed his hair, or or
the variant, whatever. It doesn't matter
for another role. And okay,
mm-hmm.
I'll just look past that. Completely, like, of course they were telegraphing it right then and there. I just lost it. That was my favorite moment of the film, was Flame On.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I also actually really like about some of those moments is that like you watch that and like, is that the Johnny Storm of those movies, or is it a different Johnny Storm?
Sure.
And that's like, it doesn't matter, which is like what the important part is. But if you really love those movies, it can be a different one because his suit's a little different. Right.
Yeah.
And so he's not that Johnny Storm. He's a different one. But if you like, or he is that Johnny Storm, it doesn't really matter. It's great.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
It is.
Right?
And I think they did that a lot here. Like,
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Is that Sabretooth the original one, or is it a different one? It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bother to tell you. And I love that. So, except that you do know that like Wesley and Elektra are those are the ones.
Yeah, the originals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, once we saw them, I was like, we're not going to see Affleck, are we? We're going to see Affleck?
That might have been a little bit
like
the greatest joke in the whole
now.
movie. I'm sorry, that might have been the greatest joke of the whole movie. Like, oh, I'm sorry, Daredevil's dead. You must be really sad. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. It was so funny. The whole movie was so funny.
You know, and I say that as somebody who I really liked the first one, and I didn't like the second one. Like,
yeah, the second one was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was like aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine. That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah,
and like it was forgettable. Honestly, I don't really remember much of what happened in Deadpool 2, but that didn't seem to really matter.
No. I saw some tweets where like, oh, where was Domino and Cable? They were so important to the second movie, and I was like, but their stories were over. Also,
yeah,
like it doesn't, just because a character's in one movie doesn't mean they have to keep appearing in other movies. That's a weird, stupid rule that nobody should follow. Like only characters that people, I don't say people like, but that's not fair because people do like Domino and Cable. But like,
sure,
only if their story has something to add, then that's one thing. But like, what are Cable and Domino going to do? Nothing. It doesn't really matter if they're in this movie or not.
Agreed.
So, what do you think of? Oh my gosh, Proteus, Proxima, Protomaton. What was his name? Paradox.
What are you talking about?
I got it. Paradox.
Oh, Paradox.
Yeah, Matthew Modine. No, not Matthew Modine. Matthew McFadden.
He was fun. He was a little bit of a weak villain, but like it didn't really matter. It didn't bother me.
Nope, me either. I liked that he was just kind of like, nah, I'm doing whatever I want to do and whatever, and I'm just the vehicle to get the story rolling. I kind of enjoyed that.
I'm glad it wasn't like an intergalactic threat type of thing.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was a
weirdly
small. It was
scale.
in the sense of the timelines being right, but like I'm glad that it wasn't like Galactus or like some big like. You know what I mean, like a Thanos type of thing. I liked that he was just a person.
Yep.
A very bad person who was messing with the timeline and who was like sort of a time Nazi, but like still, he was just a person. Mm-hmm. And I liked keeping it sort of grounded in that way.
Yep, I did too.
As grounded as you can be when you're talking about the TVA, which I love that the TVA was involved in this.
I really liked that too, like because it this movie felt obviously like it's part of the Marvel universe because of the TVA and all these things and the jokes and whatever, but it really does feel separate. Like my friend asked me after I saw it, he said, "Do you think," because I saw it at 3:00 on a Thursday, so I'm like one of the first, out of anybody who saw it in my friend groups, to see it, and he said, "Is it required viewing for the MCU?" And I said, No, it's not. Which is really smart on Marvel's part because they know most of their audience is still kids. And so you can't make an R-rated, really dirty movie required viewing. Like, it just can't be done. Like, you're going to lose a whole massive audience, and you're going to get a whole contingent of adults that are mad at you for doing that.
It has to be the sprinkles on top of the sundae, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it can't be the main, it can't be the ice cream. Because the kids can't miss out on the ice cream, but they can miss out on the sprinkles, right? A little whipped cream and sprinkles they don't get that. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But the rest of us know about it. Or maybe it's like the I don't know, like the brandy liqueur that you pour over an ice cream to make it an adult ice cream, right? Mm-hmm. The kids are still getting the ice cream; they're enjoying it, but us adults get a little extra.
Yeah, that's an excellent way of putting it. What I thought was interesting about the story, I think we've talked about this on the show before, is we've talked about like heroes getting their grooves back, right? Or stories in which characters have to get their grooves back, and like good ones and bad ones and whatever. And here's the story of Wade Wilson, Deadpool, who has lost his groove, and he's got to get it back. And here's a Logan variant who lost his groove, who's got to get it back, all hinging from this moment of a Logan who lost his groove and got it back and sacrificed himself and died. And I really it doesn't really play with those ideas strongly. They're like in the background, but I did like that, like it was, it wasn't overdone, I guess. Like it didn't occur to me until after I watched the movie that's the movie I was watching, like a hero getting their groove back. And I was like, oh, this could have felt old hat, but it didn't. And I really appreciate that because I think a part of that is because when Wade and Logan decide like, we're going to do this again, like they didn't lose a beat. Wade was like, I forgot how to be Deadpool. He didn't forget. Sure. He just lost his groove a little bit, right? And I think that I appreciated that. They just like got right into it. There was no like waiting for them to become the person they were again moment.
Right. Yeah. Even with Logan, who was like the whole, I love the way that they chose to, like, this was better, honestly, seeing the the worst Logan, the worst Wolverine from the multiverse, grow, have an arc and become, what he wants to be, was more fulfilling, more satisfying than if we had resurrected the Logan from Logan.
Yep.
Like that would have been sort of going backwards, and undoing a lot of progress, but finding another Logan from the multiverse and having him have character progression and obviously having Wade do the same, was way more satisfying, and way more entertaining, than sort of what I assumed was going to happen.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Deadpool works, especially that first one, because it does what you don't assume is going to happen, right? It knows the trope and it's going to play with the trope. And the second one just fell into using all of the tropes.
Yeah.
And this one mostly didn't. It does have the smell of like some Marvel things.
Well, yeah.
We got really close to a big light in the sky. The villain was there, but not important in some ways. Like
there was a cloudy smoke monster.
Yes, there was. Yeah, to be fair, a cloudy smoke monster that appeared in a different Marvel property. So
Sure.
they were just
Sure.
reusing something that had previously existed in Loki
It's true.
season 1, episode 5.
That was great.
That was great. I didn't find Cassandra Nova particularly anything.
Agreed. Especially because there were a couple of moments where it's like, if she's as powerful as they've told us she is, and is like lacking a conscience as they've told us she is, everybody should be dead already.
Correct.
Like the fact that she stopped to monologue or not even to dialogue with them is like, if she's as evil as you say and as powerful as you say, they should all be dead.
I agree. I will
Them
say
being like,
that,
wait, let's talk about this before you kill us.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it should stop her. But, you know,
I
you
do
set
think
that aside,
that part of
spend
her
asleep,
is like
whatever.
bored in, you know, in the space that she's like living. So
Yeah.
like, you know, like the talking is almost like, well, I'm evil, but at least I'm going to talk to somebody before I kill you. So
Okay, like, all right, I'll hear it. Let's entertain me. Let's hear it.
yeah, I don't think that's the actress's fault. Emma Corrin, I think her name is.
Yeah, no, it's not her fault at all.
She's excellent. She's an excellent actress.
She has the McAvoy look. Like, she
Totally.
looks like she could be related to James McAvoy. At least
Absolutely.
to be honest, I don't know what she looks like apart from the role. I haven't, looked her up. But
Are you telling me you didn't watch The Crown? Is that what you're teling me?
wait, who is she in The Crown?
She's Diana. She's the first Diana.
That's Diana in The Crown? Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
I did not recognize her. That's
not
incredible.
Elizabeth Debicki, but the other one. Yeah,
The first one.
the first one. Yeah,
Yeah. Still, that's incredible.
Incredible.
No,
I know.
did not
She's an
recognize
excellent
her.
actress, right? I know.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. No, I didn't realize that was her. But she, in that role, the way they made her up, she looks like she's related to James McAvoy.
Absolutely.
I was very impressed.
Mhm. Yep, I agree. Do you wish there were more X-Men, like for like a send off to the X-Men in that universe? Did you wish there was more of them in there? Like a Professor
Summers
X or a Magneto, Cyclops, Storm, whatever. Or are you satisfied the way the movie is?
I think that would have been a distraction.
I
think
completely agree.
I wouldn't have wanted them there. I think it's actually better than not being there. It was better than not being there because of Logan's wounds,
Mhm.
like to feel like he let them down. He's never going to see them again, but that he still is able to like live up to the expectations, the standard that Charles set for all of them. Right? If even another Charles or another Scott Summers, or whatever, from another universe showed up, there still would have been like the sort of feeling of like, oh, okay, well, I got to make peace with Scott, so it's all good now.
Mm-hmm.
Them not being there was, I think, kind of crucial to it having that emotional resonance.
Yep, I completely agree. And from like when you look at like the X-Men characters that are populated in the movie, there's quite a few, like Cassandra Nova.
Yes.
There's a Pyro variant, Sabretooth, Juggernaut, Toad.
Juggernaut, yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine.
Sure.
Probably more. Daphne Keene, so Laura and Gambit. It's 9.
Right.
Like 9, and I'm sure I missed 1 or 2, so that I didn't know. I think there was a Psylocke variant in there, I'm pretty sure. So there was a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot of X-Men characters. That's plenty as a send-off, because basically every corner of that little universe, like of the Fox universe, was spoken for. Like the Daredevil Street, like with Elektra and Blade, and the movies that never were with Gambit, and like the old X-Men franchise with Daphne Keene as Lara X-23, like all good, baby. And as Wolverine basically is the hero of all of those movies, or most of them, or at least before the the soft reboot, until he was the hero in one of those soft reboot movies. It's fine. Like that's it. It's all there. So anyway, let's talk about Hugh Jackman, because we haven't talked about him at all. Yeah, I loved all the different variants, like comic book accurate, like short Logan and white tuxedo Logan,
short
and
Logan,
brown suit Logan. Like
that was cool.
That was cool.
I was excited for that one.
That was
cool.
really awesome.
Yeah. That was one for the fans, right? Like that was fun.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Brown suit. What did he say? Not Chris Claremont. I think he said Chris Claremont Brown.
John Byrne
Brown. That's what he said. Yeah. John Byrne Brown. Yeah. Wait, don't you like the Hulk? Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It was all that was very good. And Hugh Jackman just doesn't miss a step like every time. Like
dude, I've never seen him in something that I didn't like him in. I've never
right.
And I'm not just talking like the first thing I saw Hugh Jackman in. I've probably talked about this at some point on the podcast. The first thing I ever saw him in was the production of Oklahoma he did that was aired on PBS.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
A year or two before
X-Men.
the first X-Men movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I knew him from. That was my frame of reference for this guy. Was like, oh, okay, he's I forgot the character's name, but the leading man in Oklahoma.
Mr.
So he was great.
Oklahoma, yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, that's right. Robert Oklahoma. And I thought that was I thought he was fantastic. And then when he was going to be Wolverine, and everyone, that became the thing he's known for. Obviously, that's like what he is known for. But I always felt this little like, but guys, before that he was in Oklahoma before that. Don't we all know that?
He was Robert Oklahoma before this.
Robert Oklahoma.
Yeah. Surrey with a fringe on top. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Like, It's
funny though, because Robert Oklahoma is spelled with an exclamation point, but the exclamation point is silent.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you can never find him in the yellow pages.
That's it. That's why.
I found
that
it.
was how he stayed hidden.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I agree with you about Hugh Jackman. He's always good. He always delivers. And this was no different. And I know a lot has been said about his, him finally wearing yellow, right? 24 years playing this character or whatever. And he's never worn yellow. He's come close, like the Days of Future Past future suit. Pretty close. Right. The deleted scene from the Wolverine where the brown and yellow suit is in the suitcase, like all these things, but he's never actually worn it. And right. I love hearing him talk about it where he's like, it just felt right. Like, how did I not do this all this time?
I was excited enough that he was wearing the yellow suit, and then I lost my mind when he put on the mask, the cowl.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Didn't expect it.
I did expect it. I had seen not him in it, but I'd seen like statues that they're selling and like all that stuff. So, but it's still not the same as seeing the actor in it. Like, still images are just not the same. I love that it comes from nowhere. Like it's been there the whole time, but it's not. It's great. It's like classic Deadpool stupidness. Like, yes. Yeah. Yes. But especially you don't have this hood the whole time, whatever. And my favorite part about this is like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares. I don't care if you can see it or you can't see it. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
I'll be honest, the white eyes didn't work for me.
Really?
Yeah. I think he looks cool when you're just looking at him. But I think that there is something very important about seeing an actor's eyes in acting. And I think the white eyes work when even the movement works when you can't see the full face, like it's a full covering, like Deadpool or Spider-Man or something. But when you can see their mouth, there's this weird disconnect between the bottom half of their face and the top half of their face.
Okay.
And I just like, it was like I found it a jarring experience to watch him talk.
Okay.
With the
I can
mask
see that.
on.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it. I think because Wade already, because Deadpool already has the white eyes, that it felt like it fit in the universe. Like it sort of fit in the continuity because okay, white eyes are a thing here. So fine. Like I didn't care about it. If it had been out of nowhere, that would have been weird. But I think because there was sort of that precedent, it just I went with it. I didn't really faze me. I noticed it. I clocked it, but it didn't really bother me.
Gotcha. Yeah. I could have just been fixating on it too. Like I was just kind of like watching him act with it on, which is, like I didn't know where to look. Do I look at his eyes? Do I look at his mouth? Do I look at his eyes? Do I look at his mouth? And so instead of the whole face, but I do love that he left it on for a long time. Like there was something in there. They were like, people waiting a long time for him to wear this mask. So it's not going to be a 2-minute thing. It's going to be a 12-minute thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to be an important 12 minutes.
It was an important 12 minutes. Yeah. I saw somebody ask Sean Levy at the end where they're holding hands and doing the Spock Kirk thing, which I thought was hilarious. Like that was so good. I loved
it.
Yeah. They said, was that really Hugh Jackman or was that digitally enhanced? And Sean Levy was 100% Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I love it.
It's you just love a man who's committed. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, we love a Wrath of Khan reference on this show. So
yep. 3 words, Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan, our most talked about Star Trek movie on this podcast.
What?
And
Are you for serious? It's not 2009 Star Trek. It's Wrath of Khan.
Whoa, okay. Good point. That might be. You're right. It might. I don't know though. I don't know. We've talked about it a lot. We did a commentary on it. I talked about when I went to see, George Takei did a commentary, Q&A after when I saw it. Like,
I saw Shatner do a Q&A with it.
Yeah, that was it. Like, so we've talked about it a lot. So I don't know. It might be close with 2009, but you're right. We have talked about 2009 a lot. For sure. Holy crap, that movie turns 15 this year. Oh my God, I'm gone. All right.
It does. I know. Don't you feel old today? Yeah, and your headphones are backwards, but doesn't.
Okay, I'm back. That I needed a moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Anyway, Frank,
you know what? Every 500 episodes, we get one pass. That was mine.
That was yours. Mm-hmm. He was gone.
That's it. I get another 500 before I can do that again.
Any final thoughts on Deadpool? I need to see it again, which is something I haven't said in a comic book movie in a long time.
I would see it again. Yeah. I don't know that I will have time to, but I would see it again.
Not necessarily in the theater. I just mean I would like to watch it again, as opposed to that was the thing that I watched.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say a long time. I felt that way with the Batman, but this is like the Batman is like dreary. Like that's not a fun watch. It's a like a hooked kind of watch. This is fun. I would watch this for fun.
I do think I'll watch the Batman again at some point at home. Right. Like I do think that I will. I can see the mood striking me to be like, I want to visit this again because I really enjoyed that, more than I expected to. But apart from that, this and the Batman are the only ones for a long time that I feel like, I would like to watch that again.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because most of them I felt like, Ant-Man 3 and
The Marvels
and
Black Adam 3, Black Adam.
Just like, okay, those were good. I'm glad I saw it. I kept up with the continuity, but I'm good. Yeah, it's like I read that issue.
It's exactly what it's like.
I don't need to read it again.
Correct. There are some stories you will revisit. I need to get out of it. There are some stories you will always revisit, and there are others that you got the story, and that's it, and you're going to move on from it.
Exactly. Some issues are there to help you get on to the next one and be able to read the next one. Mm-hmm. And some are like, I'm coming back to Infinite Crisis time after time to read it again. Right. Like that's, So this kind of falls in that category of like, I want to watch this again. It's a lot of fun. Deadpool 1 falls under that category.
I agree. It does.
I have watched it since I saw it in the theater. Deadpool 2 I saw in the theater and I'll probably never see again.
Correct. Yep. I have no desire to ever go back to it. But
I got what I needed out of it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. A way to get it to Deadpool 3.
Exactly. Yeah, it was Disney Plus the week leading up to this movie being released. Disney Plus, whenever I would open it to like watch, Bear in the Big Blue House with my daughter, the tiles at the top of the app were all Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Logan. Like catch up before Deadpool and Wolverine. And I was like, do I need to rewatch these? Do I need to like refresh my memory? And like,
nope.
If I had, I'm sure I would have, it would have been an enjoyable experience, but like I didn't need to. And me, who like I forget details, important details sometimes from films I saw 5 or 7 years ago. But I didn't feel like I was missing anything at all.
No, I think it does a good job. It's an exposition heavy movie because it knows part of its audience has not watched a single one of those movies.
Yes.
Maybe Deadpool 1 and 2, but maybe none of the other X-Men movies.
That's right.
So I think it's worth them like introducing everybody for the first time.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, and they did a great job with that. Mm-hmm. 2 thoughts that I want to share before we part. Lady Deadpool was played by Blake Lively.
Yes,
which was super cool.
Yeah.
It was more fun knowing that.
I agree.
For me.
Yeah.
There was at one point there was a joke where he's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to talk to Blake about this," which I thought was hysterical. That like not only breaking the fourth wall, but like breaking character. Right. Like,
right.
That was great for me.
It was good.
And the other thing is, let's talk about the highlight reel that they ran at the beginning of the credits of all of the Fox films.
Yep. I will remember you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was actually a nice little montage.
It was.
Of like Hugh talking about being Wolverine like before anyone had seen it, right? And like, oh, I hope they like it and that kind of stuff. That was very cool. I was surprised that they acknowledged Fant Four Stick.
You know, I wasn't, because I actually felt that was nice they were, because it might not have been the best of them by any stretch of the imagination, but it still existed, you know, I guess in there. Yeah. So it was like a one thing, and it was Michael B. Jordan, because like it's like a no miss Michael B. Jordan, but
like who's not going to like Michael B. Like
right,
sure.
Yeah, great,
yeah.
So, but
who's the least controversial part of it? Michael B. Jordan. We can all agree on Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's show him.
It's such a shame that movie has a great cast and Miles
on
Teller.
paper.
Yeah.
It's great cast and Miles Teller.
No.
Yes, that's my kind of humor. I love it.
But
and also Miles.
Teller. But yeah, and it's just yeah, what a ride that was.
Yeah.
I just anyway, going back to Deadpool and the fire, it was a really nice, I thought it was a really nice send off, and I think that the movie ends in a way that it's like their adventure is not over, but it could be over. Like whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd be satisfied if they decide like this is it, that universe is done, like we're not going to go back there. At least not for any major story beats. Like maybe there'll be I could see cameos.
Maybe
and that kind of thing.
Maybe Secret
For
Wars.
Nostalgia.
I feel like if anything, like that's what I'm gonna like. We'll see them again in Secret Wars. That's basically what I'm expecting. Yeah,
agreed. But like for all intents and purposes, that the book is closed on that universe now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be happy with that. It
Me
felt
too.
like a good send off. It felt like everything that can be done with that universe has been done really at this point. So it's like good to ride off in the sunset. The big 20th Century Fox logo in the desert was
great.
Amazing. Like the Statue of Liberty at the end of
Planet of the Apes. Yep.
Like just mwah.
It's great stuff. It's really it certainly has its holes in particular places and whatever else, but it's one of those movies where I'm like, I don't care. I don't really care about it.
I don't care
about the holes. I don't know. No. It was a good time. And so anything like, oh, they could have done this instead of this, like, get off here. Like, they could have taken the Eagles train. Like, I don't.
Right.
Like, whatever.
Right.
Like, they could have taken the Eagles syndrome, and you need to stop. Because you can do that to any movie, at any point, at any time, anywhere. It doesn't matter. Well, why didn't Don Corleone just call him? Because he didn't.
Stop.
Like, the end. Like, that's it. Well, what? Yeah. So anyway, Frank, where can you say your last thing? Go ahead.
I do have one more. Sorry. I have one more thing.
That's okay.
The night that I saw the movie, earlier that night, I was watching Welcome to Wrexham with my wife, and for those who don't know, it's Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who bought a soccer team, a football team in the UK, in Wales. They were Ryan was in the episode we watched was talking about like the Deadpool movie that we're shooting right now, quote unquote. And he was like, we can't spoil anything, but like, yeah, I gave Rob a small part in the movie.
Oh yeah.
And like they showed them on the set and it was like everything was blurred out except for their faces. And then this funny bit where they were talking about it, but everything was bleeped except for like 2 words. So it sounded, because everything was
secret,
private. And then they showed that Ryan let Rob play like 4 or 5 small characters, and they were all TVA agents that Deadpool kills.
Yep. And yep. I think, and what what just came out recently is that like all of those things got cut, so he's actually not in the movie at all. No. Like I guess like none of it worked for whatever reason, so everything got cut.
That's even better. That's even funnier. But anyway, it was just coincidental. This is the one episode where they were talking about the movie, and I watched it 2 hours before I saw the movie.
Excellent.
But that's even funnier now, knowing that none of those scenes actually made it in the film. That's great. Anyway, you were asking me where folks can find us on the internet, and that's a very good question, an important question, because if you go to beerwithgeeks.com, you can find our 501 episodes all archived there, and all the show notes to go with them, and everything that you would want to know. You can look back on and find our reviews for Deadpool's 1 and 2 and Logan and everything else. You can rate and review us in any podcast app that you like. Spotify now has comments, so you can leave comments on episodes in Spotify. You can, of course, subscribe or follow us in any of your podcast apps. And you can support us on Patreon if you want to help us kick a few bucks our way. It does, cost a little bit of money to make a podcast, to host a podcast. So your contributions are very much appreciated at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. And we might just be able to keep this going for another 500 episodes if you go that route. So thank you very much to everyone who does.
Indeed. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. And thank you, Frank, for being with me for 501 episodes. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.